Lisa, hello. Jerry, what's up? David, how you doing? James, how are you? Keith, what's happening? Kevin, cousin Bill, Judy, how are you? Mike, our colloidal silver man. Get a hold of Mike, guys. You need colloidal silver. It's like 80% less than GNC. Helen, how are you? Kathleen, hello. Give it a few more seconds here, guys, and I'll get started. A couple of things real quick. I'm still looking for a couple of volunteers to help, at least one, with uploads from the live chats uh, to the website and our YouTube channel. Anybody that has any computer skills that's got some extra time, please get a hold of me. We're really getting behind on the uploads, and who knows, they're really cracking down. Judy just mentioned the reset in Israel. We'll talk about that in a minute, Judy. Rita, how you doing? That was on my list. Not necessarily Israel, but you know, the reset, which I'm pretty sure they're gonna. It's got to be a worldwide reset. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Swampwatch, 12/26/19. Um, Talking about the um, the censorship. So right now, they won't allow me to invite um, uh, members or friends to the Watchman page, and we're still going through that. We're up in the last 2 weeks, I think. We're up over 40% in membership, which is amazing. Um, uh, and they won't let me, they're giving me a limited amount of things I can share a day. Like usually, like the last couple of days, by like noon, they'd cut me off. Um, so you guys really need to pick up the slack if you could, sharing, our content, patriot content, Christian content. We need to keep that going, guys. You guys got to help me pick up the slack here because I'm probably only able to do about 25% of what I have been doing. So there's a big gap there. Um, anyone who you're following, who is, whether it's politics, government, religion, the economy, anybody who's not factoring in the draining of the swamp and the satanic pedophilia being exposed, don't listen to them. Because if they're not factoring those things in, they don't have a clue what's really going on in the world. You cannot look at what's happening around the world and not factor this stuff in, because it's the biggest part of it. These guys, I don't know. Anyway, don't waste your time. If they're not on top of this stuff, switch channels. Because you're only getting a part of the information, and it's the most important part. It's the biggest factor of what's going on right now. Benny, how you doing? Anita, hello. I want to go over again because CrowdStrike and the DNC hack. I'm going to say it again. Russia did not hack the DNC. It's a fact. It just drives me crazy that even everybody, I don't care who you listen to, at least mainstream, even Fox, and most, I'm amazed, a lot of YouTube channels still go along with the story that the Russians hacked the DNC. It's an absolute fabrication. It's a fact that the Russians did not hack the DNC. It's a fact that it was a leak. It's based on the data itself. Everyone should know who Bill Binney is. He was high up in the NSA, was a whistleblower, a patriot, probably the preeminent expert on this very thing in America, maybe in the world. He's the one that discovered this. So these are the facts. If you are going to hack into a computer system, you're hacking from somewhere else, across the street or across the country or across the world. It doesn't make any difference. If you're hacking, it takes you multiples times longer to download whatever information you're after. If you are doing a leak and you download the material on site in the offices, in the DNC offices, there's going to be a huge difference in the time. This was a leak, guys. All of the emails that went to Assange, it was a leak. It was Seth Rich. Seth Rich was a big Bernie supporter, working at the DNC. And when he saw how they cheated, Bernie Sanders should have run against President Trump. He won the primaries. But they basically changed rules and basically let people change their votes. It was all a fix. To a Bernian, and that really ticked off Rich because he was probably one of the first walk away out of the Democratic Party because he saw what was going on and he couldn't stand it. So he was going to expose them. So he leaked this information to Assange. Absolutely 100% verifiable. Russia did not hack the DNC. Um, CrowdStrike. Now, just think about this for a second. When this happened, CrowdStrike is supposed to have some program that can tell you who hacked, blah, 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 blah. All crap, all made up crap. They got the server after this went down. FBI said, well, they wouldn't turn us over to us. That's not how the FBI operates. On something like this, something that they've made into this monster of an issue, and it's a big deal. The FBI doesn't ask for the server. The FBI, because this is also a matter of national security, they'll get a warrant for the server. That's what would have happened. None of that happened. And we know now why it never happened, because they're all working together. It was all a scam. It was all a way to cover all the damaging information. And you notice they never seriously denied, and they aren't, fabricated emails. These are real DNC emails, and the stuff in these emails that nobody ever wanted to talk about. I mean, there's rampant pedophilia mentioned. It's all sorts, but nobody talked about that. It was all Russia, 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 and we know why, because they couldn't talk about what was really going on. They'd have been sunk 3 years ago, whatever, 4 years ago. Anyway, it just drives me crazy that people are still talking about this, like the Russians really did this. It didn't happen, guys, and it's huge because it changes everything. If you throw the Russians out of this equation, it just totally destroys everything that the globalists have been trying to do the last 3 years to President Trump. It's all based on that. And like it's a fact, which it's the opposite. Kevin Spacey, I don't know if you've seen this, but 2 nights ago, he came out with a video he released. Pretty creepy. And long story short, basically said, well, you don't need to attack people, that are attacking you. You can just kill them with kindness. And what happens a day later? The 4th accuser of Kevin Spacey ends up dead. This is 4 now. Anybody have any doubts? Whose side he's on, who he's working with? Obviously, part of that satanic pedophile ring sold his soul. And, 4 people who've accused him now have ended up dead. He's not getting away from this. He can kill who he wants. He's not getting away from it. He will be executed for the things he's done. Unusual seismic activity on the West Coast. I'm just mentioning this because it's just another reason, guys, to not wait on your prepping. And basically, prepping, the prepping that we're talking about is the same prepping you would do for a natural disaster. A tsunami, an earthquake, a tornado, a flood. You're going to want to do all these things: extra food, water, medical supplies, ammo, physical silver, Litecoin. Now, obviously, if it's only a natural disaster, the Litecoin you could probably go without. You'd probably want some silver, because if you're isolated somehow, because of the natural disaster, whether it be because of flooding or, bridges out, you want to, you want to have some means of bartering, and that's where the silver would come in handy in that situation. So it's good to have it, and so it's just another way to get you guys moving on this stuff, so you're not waiting and thinking you can wait till last minute. Because who knows, guys? I to me, I don't care why you choose to get prepared. You just need to get prepared. You need these things, and there's a lot of reasons that you need them. It's just not, what's going on with the government. It's a crazy world out there right now. There's a lot of earth changes coming. So use it. Get it done. This one's just to kind of everybody has rightfully been concerned about the government and government agencies overstepping and violating constitutional rights, censorship. We're talking about the Second Amendment. We're talking about freedom of speech, and freedom of religion. The government and government agencies have basically run roughshod over the Constitution. It's what anything goes. It's shutting it down. Abuses of the Second Amendment. What they're doing now with Facebook and Twitter, and what they've been doing on college campuses. They basically had. It's ridiculous what they've gotten away with. When I was going to college, there was always somebody out in the quad pushing something. That's part of college. You want that exchange of ideas, but not since Obama took office, for sure. It went totally the other way. Shut it down. Anything that they didn't want to hear, they shut you down. Well, they're getting sued now. We're starting to see now. I told you guys this was coming. This is the first stages of it, but the DOJ sided with a group of students, and it was like a marijuana. They wanted to do a forum or whatever on marijuana and legalizing marijuana. It was in Mississippi at a junior college, Jones College in Mississippi. And so the students are suing them, and the DOJ is basically backing the students. And the college is upset because the DOJ, listen, guys, the DOJ should be getting involved. This crap has to end. I've told everyone, by the end of President Trump's second term, all of this will be eradicated. This constant attack on our Constitution is going to get shut down. And this is just kind of the first steps, but it's coming hard, and I think it's coming pretty quick. 2020 is going to be the last year for this crap. I don't think we're going to get too far deep in it for the Second Amendment stuff and the freedom of speech stuff to come to the forefront. President Trump's not going to let them go into the 2020 election and controlling what the American people have to say. And Google and Facebook and Twitter, guess what? Not only are they going to change their policy, but I think the first quarter of next year, you're going to see all those CEOs indicted and shipped to Gitmo. They have been involved in a conspiracy against us, and it's all coming out. Going to be exposed soon. It's hard to predict these things, guys, because there's so many variables and so many different pieces to it actually happening. But they're on it. Oh, looks like Harvey Weinstein. He was convicted in New York. Well, he got charges coming. It looks like in L.A. now too. So I don't know that he's going to be walking the streets much longer. Um, and I think he's going to go down too with these satanic pedophiles. He's involved in all that. I wanted to hit. Um, there's been a lot of talk about the rest and talk about a reset. Um, Talk about what's going to happen. How's this all going to play out? I think that there are going to be probably 800 to 1,000 arrests coming in DC alone, I think. Government, um, elected officials, CEOs. I think 800 to 1,000 the first part of next year. I think when this starts, we're going to see martial law. The government's expecting, they're expecting massive civil unrest, and I think it's better for them to expect that. I don't think it's going to be massive, but I'm glad they're prepared for massive civil unrest. And here's the variable, because we've talked about you can't arrest anybody near the top, and there are going to be people near the top that go down in the first wave without the deep state collapsing the economy. And if they didn't collapse it, it wouldn't be a day or two, because I think the other thing that's going to happen when they do this, when they actually pull the trigger, they're going to do the D-class too. So they're going to release information that shows why these people are getting arrested. So I think that'll kind of temper it a little bit. But here's the thing that might be a little bit unexpected. And especially for the Republicans / conservatives, there are way more conservatives who aren't awake than you might think. I talk to them every day. They're behind President Trump 1,000%, but they don't have a clue about the pedophilia, about the economy, about the really important things. When this economy goes, and it will go quickly after the arrests start, and people realize maybe that they're going to lose their bank account, pension, stocks, bonds, there's going to be a lot of and then they're also going to know, that it's been corruption and manipulation is why they're losing it. They're going to be irate. There might be more right-wing senior citizens rioting than there is Antifa. Because just imagine, if you worked your whole life, 30 years plus, to get a retirement, and then it's gone, right close to the end when you're ready to to get your retirement, and all of a sudden that 30 years, you're gonna. This is obviously how you're gonna feel, especially initially when you hear this, is that it's basically gone. How do you think these people are going to react? I mean, people my age, in their 60s, who they don't have another 20 years to build it back up, right? A lot of them are going to feel like, and this isn't true, but they're going to feel like, it's everything to them. They're going to feel like the rest of their life is ruined because of this. And that's not the case. But I think it's going to be the perception, and I think it's going to be cause a lot of pissed off senior citizens and people that are close, right? So make sure, if you've got anybody in that category, you're helping talking them through this thing, because we don't want them exposing themselves to what could happen out on the streets when, it's not going to be as bad as people think. I mean, yeah, if you're not prepared, if you don't have the physical silver and Litecoin, it's not going to be good. But they're going to have to come up with some way to jumpstart the economy again. And one of the ideas floating out there is that they're going to give everybody a little financial starter kit based on what you paid into Social Security. I think they're going to, one of the things that's out there is they're going to give everybody like a lump sum based on how much you paid in. So the older people will get more, the younger people will get less, who have more time to make it up. And the other thing about this, guys, is things are going to change so much. I've talked about, my dad, and he made $8,000 a year back in the 60s. House payment was $75 a month. My mom didn't have to work. We lived pretty good. We're going to go back to that, because once we remove all this theft and corruption and manipulation out of the system, all of a sudden, I don't think we're going to have to pay taxes. I think that's going. I think the IRS is going. More of your money is going to go in your pocket. Pretty much all of your money is going to go in your pocket. No taxes, and more opportunity too. Because President Trump is going to, just think of what he can do. Look what he's done so far with all the opposition he's had to deal with, and basically juggling, my God, who knows how many critical situations he's had to deal with in the last 3 years while he's doing the job of president and fixing the economy and getting manufacturing back and working on these trade deals that we've been screwed with by these deep staters. What's he going to do when he can focus 100% on the economy and jobs and even eliminating more regulations? People are going to find in a very short time, you're going to be able to make up multiples of what you did in the past, because the system is going to be so much better and run so much smoother and be better for all of us. So be aware that this could happen, because I guarantee you there's people who are going to feel exactly like this. I know, off the top of my head, I know 4 or 5. We've got to be there to kind of keep them calmed down and not to go sideways here, because we don't need good people in the middle of possible Antifa, BLM civil unrest, that's a recipe for disaster there, because Antifa is going to look at this as an opportunity, because what they want is civil war. So we can't play into that. We don't want to play into it certainly with the government. And I think again, that's again part of the knowledge thing of what we're trying to do is get people educated to this so they know what's coming. When it happens, they already knew it was coming, so they're not going to be shocked into doing something they shouldn't be doing, something out of character. And trust me, I just think about it. Just think about being that person who's 60 something, maybe already has a retirement. I mean, that's the other case. I mean, the millions of Americans are going to be in that boat. So we just want to stay on top of it, guys. We don't want our loved ones getting in trouble that it makes no sense. It's not going to do them any good. And trust me, the president is doing everything he can to make this as smooth as possible. So, we've got arrest. We've got D-class. We've got martial law. And martial law, I think they're going to declare it up front just as a preventative measure to have some troops on the street, to have the rules in place. Martial law doesn't necessarily mean that everything shuts down. It just means that there'll probably be a curfew, maybe. There'll be some rules in place probably so that it doesn't get out of control. It's not a bad thing. There's going to be a lot of these far-righters who are going to start up with a fear porn about, oh, yeah, they're doing this, and they're going to come get our guns, and that's not going to happen with President Trump. The only reason he's doing this is to protect the innocent, because he doesn't want Antifa and BLM to get out of control. He wants to rein them in, and they do that with troops on the street. And these troops aren't going to put up with old tactics. These guys are going to do what they're told, or they're going to get the baton, which they deserve. So it's all good, guys. Don't be fearful of martial law. Anything President Trump is doing, he's doing for our benefit. So don't listen to the fear porn. And it's still going on. I mean, it's how, and you have to remember, guys, most people that are doing what I'm doing are doing it for money. They're taking donations, they're getting Patreon donations, they're monetizing their channels like YouTube, so they get paid for that stuff. They've got a vested interest in this. And one of the things these guys like to do is put up these crazy titles, it's the fear porn. People click on the fear porn. They want to hear about it. Well, pretty soon, there's several stations that are notorious for it. You just quit clicking because you know it's garbage. It's just trying to get you worked up so you click and they get another view, and it helps their monetization. Don't fall for it. And the other thing that ticks me off is these guys who won't say certain words because they don't want to get a ding or get the video demonetized. So now we were playing guessing games about what you're really talking about. If they can't tell you in plain English what it is, don't listen to them. If they're that concerned about their monetization, you shouldn't be listening to them. Okay. Arrest, D-class, economic collapse, reset. and Judy mentioned it early. Looks like Israel's having some trouble, or not really maybe trouble, but are getting ahead of this thing. This is why I think that this is going to be sooner rather than later. I'm going to be, if this goes into February, I'm going to be blown away, because with the things like you're seeing in Israel, I mean, look around the world. I mean, you've got, there's, I think, 15 countries with civil unrest, rioting. The EU's falling apart. You've got China, Hong Kong, South America, Chile, Venezuela, Brazil, massive civil unrest. We know what's been going on in Venezuela. I mean, there isn't a pet alive on the streets today in Venezuela. They had to eat them all. They ate the animals out of the zoo in Venezuela. This whole thing's coming down, guys. I don't know how it goes. We're talking basically 5 or 6 weeks till the end of January. It's the chaos, and especially if you're really looking. If you're watching the mainstream media, forget it, because you're not even getting a fraction of what's happening around the world. But if you're in it for 16 hours a day like I am, it's all over the place. It's crazy out there. And any day it should go down. So, again, it's just more reason for you guys to not procrastinate and do the things you need to do now. The prepping, the calling, the phone calls, the emails, reaching out to your loved ones to try and get them on board with this and get them ready. Awake and prepared. And if you can't do that, it's about planting the seeds. Remember, we've talked about that. It's not bad at this point to get in an argument with somebody, because usually in an argument, next week when it goes down, it's a seed. They're going to remember it. It's going to make it a little bit easier for them to accept it, and then they're going to know who to come back to with questions. So don't be afraid to butt heads with people right now. It's in the long run, it's gonna help them, especially if you get these people that are really hard nosed. It's the best thing you could do for them. They wouldn't agree with you right now, but trust me, in a month or two, they'll know exactly why you were doing what you were doing. So, arrest, declass, civil unrest, economic collapse, reset, gold standard. The world, I think, China's got a gold-backed currency now, ready to go. Russia's, they say, has got a gold-backed currency ready to go. We've got a gold-backed currency ready to go for this. So we're kind of getting, and if they do a reset like this where they just shut it down, wipe out, start over, I've said it's if we want to keep the rough patch to a minimum, the reset is the best way to go, where everything just gets wiped out and we start clean. If they try and fix this, it's going to drag out for another year. It's going to add a year on to the rough patch, at least, I believe, depending on how long they try and go that route. I think President Trump understands that this can't be fixed. It's too convoluted. There's been so much corruption and manipulation. There's no way to fix this. And the crazy crap that's been going on in the banks, you can't unravel it. It's too intertwined. So the very best thing that could happen is just scrap it, reset, come out with a gold-backed Get rid of the Fed, get rid of the IRS, start clean. I think the more I hear, the more I'm thinking that's the way it's going to go down. So keep your fingers crossed. Ultimately, all of this is great news. I like I keep saying, guys, I could not write a better script. And here's probably a good thing that we're talking about the right wingers who are not really awake. They're awake to President Trump, but they're not awake to the big picture. This is the best thing that could happen for those people, because it means that rough patch is going to be shorter. That I think there's going to be less civil unrest if we just wipe the slate clean, move forward, and it gets things moving again. Who knows how long this could drag out if they try and put a Band-Aid on it. I mean, we saw what that did for us in 08, right? It made it 100 times worse. It bought them 10 more years to steal us blind, but it made the result of all this 10 times worse. So the only way to fix this is to wipe the slate clean, get rid of all the criminals, start over with an honest system, with a gold-backed currency, I think the banks are going to go, but laws that are written for our benefit instead of the banks and big business, because that's what's been happening for the last 50 years. It hasn't been about us at all. It's been about the deep state, the globalist, the satanic pedophiles. And we, if it benefited us, it was just because, a sidebar from what they were doing for themselves. Yeah, 800 to 1,000 government officials, politicians, CEOs, judges, newscasters. Just wait. When you conspire to and basically this is all about taking down America. They wanted to turn America into a third world country. That's what they were going to do. Destroy us. That was they knew it was the only way for them to get their globalist agenda, was to destroy America. Because having us with the Second Amendment, you saw how well it worked for them. They've been trying forever to get our guns. Our Constitution, guys, has saved the world. When they do the analysis on this time period, and they're trust me, there's going to be, again, thousands of books, hundreds of movies. This is all going to come out. We'll see after the fact how big this was. Oh geez. Okay, let's see what we got for questions here. Charlotte, how you doing? Brother Dale, what's up? Becky, hello. Anita. The NSA is going to be here to stay, but I think the CIA is going. Maybe the FBI is going too. 50 to 70% of the government is going to be shut down. by President Trump's second term, into second term. Well, yeah, the truth is definitely going to come out about Seth Rich, and everything that, and uh, the guy is a hero for what he did. It's just too bad he didn't do it a little bit differently. He was not, he was, I don't remember exactly what his job was. I think it had something to do with the organization and getting taking care of the members of the DNC, but he certainly was out of his element in this cloak and dagger, and he paid for it. Trust me, if I was Seth Rich, and that's the other thing, he was carrying the thumb drive on him, so they got it when they shot him. And there's the other thing that I think is going to come out. I think they murdered him in the hospital. I think that the wounds he had were survivable, and I think they expected him to make a full recovery. There was a report when this first came out, not a big report, but something on YouTube, where the doctor, it was like he went home and this guy is doing great. No problems. He's going to be fine. Comes back the next day, he's dead. He couldn't believe it. Something went on there. That's all going to come out too, that whole story. Well, Joyce is asking about, isn't he deceased? Are you talking about Seth Rich, Joyce? And this is another possibility. We've talked about JFK Jr. and the possibility of him still being alive. There's a possibility that the White Hats knew what the Black Hats were going to try and do, and they pulled him out. We'll see, but that would be best case scenario. Well, yeah, I mean, Seth Rich was murdered. They knew he had the thumb drive on him, or they were hoping he had it on him. They knew that he had it. And also in retaliation too. I think it was Podesta who said, yeah, whoever did this should get murdered. Guess what? Well, and here's the thing. He was trying to expose the corruption, but because they controlled the media, it never happened really. This thing all could have ended with Seth Rich if it went the right way. If he would have got in with the White Hats. The problem was, here's what I think. If this would have happened, where he had a way to gauge how good President Trump was going to be, I think he would have taken it straight to the campaign. Now, they maybe wouldn't have talked to him, but they would have tried to point him in the right direction, which would have been to Admiral Rogers. Because remember, by that time, Admiral Rogers and the White Hats in the military are the ones who got President Trump to run. Because they knew what these traitors were doing. They were selling us out. Yeah, if it wasn't for Project Mockingbird, which everybody should know here, is the program that the CIA started to take control of the mainstream media. You know, if they don't have control of the mainstream media, this is over 2 years ago or more. But they're not doing their jobs. You know, they're paid by this deep state, basically. There's a lot of them that are going to go down for what they've done. Because it doesn't happen without their help. I think that the White Hats might have the DNC server now. Interestingly enough, the DNC server ended up in the Ukraine. Think about that. Why would they send it to the Ukraine? Because they were using the Ukraine as another operating center. Ukraine, Iran, and North Korea. The deep state had assets in all those countries and were basically using them to run their ops out of. Yeah, well, I mean, look at the Clintons' track record, guys. You know, as far as the death toll. It's over 100 now. It's 100 and something. I mean, and these are people who, for the most part, middle-aged, healthy. Yeah, it's not a coincidence. No coincidences. Related to the Clintons. Who are you talking about, Danielle? Yeah, Spacey's going down. All of these, listen, anybody who committed treason, well, any felony, anybody who murdered children or murdered anyone, they're going to be executed. And they're cutting no deals. Yeah, yes, Bill Barr is, they're going to start the arrest any day. And here's the thing, guys. We have to be patient. Early on, you know, I made a decision in doing this, doing what I do, early on that I was never going to criticize President Trump no matter what. Because I could, you know, obviously, if you've been doing this, you could see how he was being attacked mercilessly. And he didn't need us, you know, patriots and Christians attacking him also. There were a couple of times early on, I didn't say a word, but I thought to myself, man, is this really the right thing to do right now? Well, yeah. The things that, based on the information I had, I saw a couple of things that didn't look right, but I kept my mouth shut. A couple of weeks later, turns out it's the exact right thing to do at that time. President Trump is the only one who has all the information. So we can't second guess him. I guarantee you he's getting this done as quickly as he can. We got to quit whining about it and just be patient. Be patriots and be Christians. Let him do his job. Because it's ignorant for us to second guess him when we've got a fraction of the information that he does. If this is taking longer, there's a reason, a good reason it's taking longer. We need to trust the plan. We need to trust the man, President Trump. We need to trust God. You know, God put him in this position. God is guiding him. We don't question God or what's going on now, because it's ridiculous to question it, because we're going to find out, a year from now, whenever it is, we're going to find out why it took the time it took. And trust me, they got this done as fast as they could, because there's never been anybody like President Trump in this kind of position of power who his number one priority was eliminating human trafficking and obviously child trafficking. It eats him as bad as it eats me up. So he's doing the best job he can, and we need to trust that he's making the right decisions. And he is. Trust me. Name one time. You can't. I mean, this thing has gone flawlessly for over 3 years now. Like I said, you can't write a better script, and you can't beat God. If you got God on your side, how are you going to lose? So we need to just sit back, focus on what we can control. We can't control when this is going to happen. What we can control is, how prepped are we? How much extra food and water do we have? Do we have our Litecoin and silver? Do we have everybody woke up that we love? Those are the things we can control. Let's focus on those things and let President Trump and God do the work they need to do. It's that simple, guys. Oh, sounds like an excuse, Danielle. Yeah, welcome to the new members. Uh, you know, I can tell you, Mike's asking if I know anything about the earthquakes in California. What I do know is that, like the earthquake that caused the tsunami in Japan, that was man-made. They have technology available to them that they can actually cause earthquakes. I think it was a nuke on the seafloor planted by a submarine that caused a tsunami in Japan. They could, as an attack, pull something like that. And of course, if they were going to do it, the place they would do it is off the coast of Oregon, which would basically affect, most of the West Coast, up to Seattle and maybe as far down as San Francisco, although it'd be, I can't see there being a lot of damage. The fact that they have been pushing this for a couple of years now, the Wanda Fuca, it's going to be the worst disaster, blah, 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 makes me think that they've got that target in their sights. Whether they can pull it off or not, we'll see. I would be more worried about something man-made than I would be about something natural right now in that area. We'll see. But it doesn't make any difference how it happens. You got to be prepared for it. Yeah, that's the other thing, guys. My brother just mentioned Virginia. That's something I wanted to touch on. They're trying to start a civil war in Virginia. This is one of their last-ditch efforts. Don't fall for this crap. First they said they were going to go door to door. The governor said he was going to have the National Guard go door to door and take people's guns. Well, the police and the National Guard said it wasn't going to happen. They would not violate the Constitution. Now he's saying, what was it? He's taken a different tack. It's a different angle, right? It's all to stir the pot. It's not going to happen, guys. Don't listen to the propaganda. He's trying to get people worked up to get a civil war going. Don't fall for it. Let President Trump and God do their work. Listen, the Democrats, Dale, saying that and that's true. They are saying this, that they're going to impeach Trump several more times. You know, they're already working on another articles of impeachment right now as we speak. Not going to happen because all of these people that you're seeing on the news spewing this crap are going to be in Gitmo in a month or 6 weeks. So don't listen to it. Again, trying to stir the pot, trying to get people jacked up. Don't fall for their crap. Anything that comes out of their mouths, ignore it. And the mainstream, ignore that crap. It's not helpful. Listen, I'm going to say it again. There's not one person who's going to escape justice for what they've done. Write it down. No one's getting off. That's why they've got a Danielle saying there's so much corruption. That's why they're going to have to arrest 800 to 1,000 to clear the garbage out. You're going to be amazed at who's on this list. CEOs. I think there's probably going to be 400 members of Congress that go down when this happens. Everybody that you're seeing on TV, Pelosi, Schiff, Schumer, all of them, Waters, the new crew, AOC and her buddies, are all going down with this. Danielle's asking why Trump can't shut down the Virginia governor. Well, a good question. You have to remember, we want the states to have their freedom. I can guarantee you, the minute this governor puts a toe over the line in violating the Constitution, they'll be on him like he won't believe. They're not going to get away with anything that they say would have gotten away with Obama in office or Clinton. But yeah, it's, you know, he can say whatever he wants. What I'm telling you though is, the first time he crosses the line into a violation of the Constitution or criminality, they will shut him down. They're not going to allow, if they would obey the orders, they wouldn't be allowed to confiscate guns. This is not going to happen on President Trump's watch, guys. This is a fantasy land for these morons. And they know it. They know he's not going to allow it, but they can talk about it and get people worked up. And hopefully, you know, it gets violent. It's not going to happen. Yes, Bill Barr is going to be fine. Don't worry about Barr. I don't even think they would try and kill Barr, because they know, you know, they're just going to get somebody worse if they went that route. Well, Danielle's asking about a backup plan if something went bad with President Trump. I'm going to tell you that nothing's going to happen to President Trump. President Trump's going to serve 2 terms. Not one hair on his head will be harmed. If something did happen, say they somehow blackmailed the whole Senate to vote to impeach him, the military would step in. President Trump, I guarantee you 1,000%, will not leave office before the end of his 2nd term. It will not be allowed by God or the military. Not going to happen. The plan was, guys, if President Trump lost the election in 2016, The military was going to seize control of the government. That was the plan. There was going to be a military coup. They were not going to let her sell out the country. She was going to leave us vulnerable to a nuclear attack by North Korea. That was the plan. Get into war, win the election, get into war with North Korea, go into their bunkers, come out a year later after we were annihilated. That's how they were going to get our guns. Millions would have died. Millions. Maybe hundreds of millions. Rebecca's asking, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure why. Yeah, the live feed's on right now, right, guys? We're going good. So now what Facebook has done, Facebook has just got rid of a couple of the live feeds. They're just disappeared. There's 2 or 3, I think, live feeds that were missing. Yeah, Anita wants to know. Well, that's the plan, Anita, is that when again, it's just a possible scenario that, I mean, we're talking about this is going to be days or weeks away, probably, this reset. Things are happening quickly in the banking industry, this repo program. I've posted a couple of videos on this. You guys should all watch it. The banking system is about ready to implode. The problem is, it's like a sinking ship. You know, they've got bilge pumps, right, in a ship. Well, what happens eventually is when you keep taking on water and the water more and more and more starts coming, the pumps can't keep up and the ship goes down. That's where the banking system is. It's ready to tank. So that's why you've got to, and here's the thing, guys. They can keep my Social Security. Because when that all goes down, it means my Litecoin and silver are going to be 1,000 times worth 1,000 times more than my Social Security would have ever been worth. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. And you don't have to spend even $1,000 to take advantage. $100 will make you a millionaire. You buy $100 worth of Litecoin today, you're a millionaire in 5 years. Very few people have $1 million in their Social Security. I get my first check in January. It's like $1,500 something dollars. And hopefully I'll get the disability too. And that will help. But it's not much we're getting from Social Security. I'll take the Litecoin and the silver any day over my Social Security. Listen, the radical liberals, you have to remember, people, you've got a very small segment of the population. The CIA has run numbers on this. They wanted to know how this would play out. I didn't say this yesterday. I didn't talk about this yesterday because it was Christmas. And it's not Christmas anymore. When people see the Hillary Clinton snuff video, which is absolutely 100% legitimate and a fact, they've got Hillary Clinton on tape with an 8-year-old girl strapped to a table. They sexually assault this little girl, torture her to death. The last thing they do is carve her face off with a scalpel while she's still alive. Put her face over their own faces and dance around the room. This is all on video. Before they murder her and drain her blood for the adrenochrome and drink it. That's on video. Now you tell me how many liberals are going to take to the streets to riot after they've seen that video. None of them. The 3 to 5%, the sickest of the sick, let the 3 to 5%, then we'll know who they are. Those 3 to 5% are going to go deep underground because they're not going to want to be associated with this because they're going to have to run from their friends and neighbors when they do. I don't know a Democrat who's going to vote Democrat after all this comes out. It ends it. Because you can't defend this. This isn't one of those things where it's going to be a political argument that nobody ever wins. This is finished when all this comes out. And the ones running it are all going to be exterminated from the face of the earth. Anybody involved in treason, anybody involved in murder is getting the death penalty. There's 140,000 sealed indictments right now nationwide. They're going to get every single one of them. And it's over. Durham's report is going to come out spring or early summer is what they're saying. I think it might be ready before then. I think this is, maybe some disinformation, but the bottom line, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference when that report comes out because they already have grand juries impaneled. There's already 140,000 indictments. They could start the arrest tonight without Durham's report. Don't think that the arrest can't start until Durham. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to make people think that the arrest won't start till then, and they're going to start any day. That's what I think's going down. I think it was disinformation. And it doesn't make any difference as far as the arrests go. I could care less if it comes out next year. If it comes out after the election, I could care less. As long as they start arresting these people. And again, it's going to happen when it happens. But that's when, to me, that's the first finish line, right? The first finish line is getting these people behind bars. The second is when we get into the recovery, right? That's when we're back on track and everything's rolling smooth again. Going to be that little bit of period where we've got a rough patch to get through. Hopefully, if this goes the way I think it's going to go with a reset, it's going to go a lot smoother. Sandy, how you doing? Yeah, you can track military planes. I think you can go on the internet right now, and not just military planes. I think you can track just about any plane, for sure, any commercial or military plane, on the internet. I don't think we're going to see a silverback currency. It doesn't make any sense. Gold back is what they'll do with the currencies, and it doesn't make any difference because the silver is going to go through the roof when all this happens. So it's all good. Listen, silver is going to be about 10% of whatever gold is. There's a lot of experts who've run the numbers based on the money supply and taken all these things into account. And they believe that when the world goes to gold-backed currencies, that gold will immediately go to between 50 and 85,000 an ounce when this happens. And I'm happy if silver's 10% of that. I'm fine. And that's just the beginning. Because eventually, write this down. I believe within 10 years, silver will surpass gold in price. Because there's so much new technology coming that require a huge amount of silver. And that's very quickly going to put silver, that ratio is going to start closing the gap. And pretty soon it'll be 1-to-1 instead of 10-to-1. Chad, how you doing? Yeah, I am going to get a better way to scroll here, guys. Yeah, Dale says that the Clinton body count's like 156, and I think that's about the last time what I saw. I know it's way over 100. Get your silver and Litecoin, guys. And Michael just made a comment back to Jerry. Listen, if you've got people that are really pushing back hard on Litecoin, tell them to buy silver. They're going to regret not having it in Litecoin, but they're going to do fine with their silver. They'll do well. They got to have something. Joyce is asking why Hillary wasn't arrested when they found the video. So, I'm going to tell real quick because we're over an hour now. That video was found on the Wiener laptop by the New York PD detectives. If you remember, there was a big deal right before the election where Comey acknowledged that there was emails found on that laptop, and what he was doing was he was covering their tracks because the New York PD was threatening to release the video, and they came back and told him if they did that, if you remember about the same time, there was a couple of cops who were in an incident where a guy ended up dying, and they never were prosecuted, but the FBI told the PD, if you release this, we're going to arrest these guys and prosecute them for like a hate crime or something. So it was going back and forth. The NYPD has the video still, but so does everybody else. There's even snippets. It's on the dark web. If you want to go on the dark web, you can watch. It's called Frazzle Drip. Just Google Frazzle Drip or go to YouTube and do a search on Frazzle Drip. You'll get a lot of info. But it's been a battle. And the other thing is, and one of the reasons that the deep state hasn't been arrested, is these people, especially at that time, they were in control. They were running the FBI. So they naturally weren't going to be arrested. Well, you ask, well, what about when President Trump took office? Think about this. President Trump could have rightfully rolled out the Marines and arrested all these people 3 years ago. And you know what would have happened? We'd have been in a civil war. Because at that time, there were so many people that had been brainwashed into thinking that President Trump was a madman, that if he would have started arresting Clinton and Obama and the rest of them, they would have gone batshit crazy. They had to, number one, get the general public more up to speed like they are today, and they also had to neutralize the threats that the deep state had. They had nuclear weapons. They had bases in North Korea and Iran. They had a lot of bioweapon threats. They could have killed millions. That's what there's been a lot going on behind the scenes with the SEALs and the Marines taking these bases out. The two earthquakes on the 4th and 5th of July in California, those weren't earthquakes. They were taking out a deep underground base at China Lake. I knew it the first day. They announced, it wasn't like we were expecting a possible big earthquake. The announcement was there's going to be a big one within 24 hours, probably bigger than the last one. And what happened? Within 24 hours, another one in the same exact spot that was bigger than the other one. They were exploding mini nukes under that base, taking out the deep state. All of this is going to come out, guys, but that's the reason why. They couldn't do anything. And that's why I'm saying we can't second guess President Trump. We can't second guess the plan. It's been flawless to this point. Let them do their work. It's in God's hands now. Well, silver's going to have a better return on gold because of the ratio. The historical ratio silver to gold is 10 to 1. Right now it's about 85 to 1. Right off the bat, when the manipulation is removed, it's going to snap back to its historical ratio. So silver will outperform gold at least 8 times. So that's why you want silver instead of gold. Danny, how you doing? Anita, how's it going? Okay, guys, I went long tonight, so I'm going to wrap it up. Remember, be positive when you're talking to your friends and relatives. This is scary stuff when people don't understand the big picture. You've got to talk them through it, explain it in a way that they're not freaking out. We've got to be very careful. We've got to be positive when we're going through this. Everything that's coming has to happen. The swamp has to drain. The pedophilia has to be exposed. The economy has to collapse. These are all good things. I know they don't sound to the average person like they're good things, but it all has to happen. It's going to be for the betterment of the world. We're going through the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, man's greatest accomplishment in taking down this evil, and we're headed into man's greatest age. We all should be celebrating in the streets. Nothing to fear, guys. This is all good. I'm going to end it here for tonight. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5. God bless.